Bolnosh, and I have not had a chance to speak with her or get an introduction, but the name of her speech is Dare to Dream. Tami?
Is this her icebreaker?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. How many of you remember getting a box of crayons and a piece of paper and being asked to draw when you were kids? I remember when I was a child that I loved to draw butterflies and flowers and rainbows. It was my opportunity to put my dreams on paper. Those drawings encouraged me to dream. Perhaps I took that activity a little bit too seriously because that's kind of how I see my life. In that moment, I got to dream as big as I wanted to. Today I'd like to talk to you about daring to dream. I think that as children we're given a lot of permission to dream. But as adults we stop, for good reasons too, because we have lots of responsibilities, and dreaming often requires taking risks. We can't always do what we want to do when we have to take other people into consideration. Our once vibrant and colorful drawings on our pieces of paper are often reduced to little doodles that we make as we're trying to pass the time. Once a friend of mine told me that I marched to the beat of my own drum. I never really thought about it that way, but it makes sense. It has always been very hard for me to conform. I don't think that there's anything wrong with doing things in a conventional way. In fact, I envy people that can stay on track. But for me, my brain is just wired differently. I blame it on the curly hair, because when you look differently, people just kind of accept that you are different if you don't behave like them. When I was 8.5 years old, my family and I moved to Tampa from Israel. I was a direct and outspoken child, and when something wasn't right, I said so. So I wanted to play soccer with the boys, and I did so in Israel. I didn't see any reason why I couldn't play soccer with the boys. The boys didn't want me to play, and I was very frustrated, so I said, "Damn!" And the teacher was horrified because little girls didn't talk that way, and so she sent me to the corner, and she said, "You're going to write the word damn 100 times. So my English wasn't very good at that time, and I didn't know how to spell damn, so I wrote it D-A-M. And so she said, "No, no, no, you're missing an N," and she sent me right back to the corner, and I had to write N 100 times. Oh. So that was definitely an experience for me, but it also made me feel very different, and I certainly had a language barrier and a cultural barrier. So I began to feel very isolated, and I certainly turned to my dreams as a sort of comfort and a safe haven for myself. High school was a much easier adjustment for me, although I would hardly call it sublime. While you could say that I was popular-ish, I didn't really belong to any group. I did well in school, and I started in high school plays, but I really didn't feel like I belonged to any particular group. Through it all, I leaned on my dreams. And ironically, I dreamed of joining the Israeli army. Now, anyone that has been to the army or knows anyone who's been to the army knows that it is sort of the antithesis of a dream house. This is not where dreams are made to be free. This is where you're very confined and have to be built as a unit. Needless to say, I only lasted about 2 months in the army, and I literally cried my way out of the Israeli army. But that experience propelled me to go to college, and I went to UF to study psychology. But after a few years, it just became too suffocating for me, and new dreams began surfacing. I decided to drop out of school to become an artist. I painted what I thought was a very beautiful mural of a forest in my room, and I kept myself in this nice little forest with tropical music. And I also worked as a DJ at night. And naturally, my parents were thrilled that this is what their child was doing. And they said, "You are more than welcome to pursue your dreams, but you have to pay for it yourself." So that didn't last very long, and I returned to school and finished my degree. Once I graduated, my next dream was to move to London to pursue theater. That dream led me to a wonderful place. It was there that I discovered the Alexander technique, which I spoke about before, which is a postural technique for improvement. And while most of my dreams often led to other dreams, this dream has actually been a constant in my life because I've been studying and researching and teaching it for the past 16 years. In order to study the Alexander technique back then, I had to save money. So I left London and moved back to Tampa, where I worked as a second grade teacher, a singing waitress, a waitress at a comedy club, and also as a reading instructor. And once I saved up enough money, I moved to Israel, where I began training for the Alexander technique because it was much, much less expensive than the UK and London. I also began teaching English lessons to support myself, and my teaching gig actually eventually became a small business there. This led to one of my biggest dreams, which was to pursue researching posture among school children, which is what I did in Israel. And this dream took about 6 years to develop. Eventually, I was accepted to pursue a PhD in medical anthropology in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but it was very hard for me to want to leave Israel, to live in such a small little town. So I stayed in Israel, and I went to Ben Gurion University, and that is where I met my husband. So that was actually a very good thing. And I fulfilled my biggest dream, which was to start a family. So that worked out well for me. I honestly don't know who I would be without my dreams. I believe dreams are a sort of a calling. I can either act on them or I can ignore them. But when I choose to embrace my dreams, they lead me to more dreams. My next dream is to start my Alexander technique practice and also provide postural assessment here in the school system, just like I did in Israel. So to me, dreaming means possibility. A phrase from William Shakespeare's play As You Like It states, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely actors," or players. I do believe that to be true. While we don't get a script in life, and we don't know what will happen next, we do have a blank piece of paper, and we can choose to color it any way we like.